Donna, looking ahead the next 3 to 5 years, can you give me some predictions? Where do you think the media landscape will be?
Yeah, I'm happy. I think content's still going to be king. What's great about it is there's so many choices that makes it very hard for our business, our side of the business, but it's also very rewarding because we're seeing so many great creative outlets where the content now is living. So the good news is that viewers and consumers want to view, right? I think screens will probably get bigger and bigger, and then they'll probably get smaller and smaller. SVOD seems to be taking on a little bit of life of its own, and I believe that you're going to see a lot more of that in certain aspects. There might be some consolidation in others. I think we Turner will have to be playing in both areas. Our content's really important to us, and one of the areas that I think is going to grow in the next 3 years will be on demand. We're dipping our toe in the water with on demand right now. We're very carefully choosing. We want to do more of our own content because then we will have stacking rights. Because what I do see and what has been happening is that the consumer and the viewer want to have the content at their hand, all episodes at once. That's a little bit more challenging for traditional television right now, but I think on the on-demand world, we're seeing a huge lift that when we do put our content on with all episodes on at once, we're kind of getting to that viewer. They want that. And I think you're going to see a lot more on-demand viewing happen, and we're going to have to play in both areas.
I was very pleased to hear that you say research is the new black.
It is.
Can you talk about the role of research, how it's changed, and how you're looking at it in your career?
Yeah, research just is becoming just so much more important. Again, research, when I first got into the businesses, we had Nielsen ratings, and you looked at your pocket pieces, and you looked at it, and in radio you broke your cells down, and now it's just we have to have it. You can't take it for granted anymore. I think we're still looking to see, with RentTrack and other areas, if there's other research companies that maybe could hone in a little bit more. But I think what's going to happen is that we're not going to necessarily rely on a lot of these companies. I think now us having our own data and having it at our own fingertips is we're going to be putting a lot more of the control into our own companies. That's scary, but it's also exciting at the same time. A lot of our decisions now are going to be based on fact, and DR, direct marketing, direct response area was always that way, but general advertising was never. I think marketers probably had research at their fingertips, but the agencies never did, either did media companies. And now I think that everybody's going to have a little bit more control. That could be good or bad. I'm so thrilled and excited to see who our audience is when we really get our handle of who our audiences are on our, from our networks. But it's also will be telling on, am I missing an audience? I don't think we'll have that problem because our networks, again, like I talked about, cross over so much of, the broad landscape. But some of these networks that if they're so fine and have a very myopic view, may not be reaching all the audiences that they think they're reaching now. What I also like about the data is that it's helping us also from a creative standpoint. It's going to help Kevin Riley and Chris Lynn and even Jeff Zucker. The more they know about the audiences, the more that they may choose different creative and different content very differently, knowing who we might and who our clients might want to go attract.
Is there any advice you could give to a student today in college about how to prepare for a career in media?
Yeah, it's very, very different than it has been in the past. I think obviously the social landscape, all the new technology, not that they're not in tune with it, but you have to stay completely up to date with it. And it's even those companies that we don't even know about yet. There's so much newness that keeps on. There's so much entrepreneurial spirit that's going on. It amazes me how much of these self-starters are coming out of college. I mean, literally, what I find fascinating, what I think is so exciting, is that anybody can start a website these days. So that's great. But it's also scary at the same time because I think, more and more there's a lot of M&A going on, but at some point it's going to be some consolidation. So our world has changed a lot, but content I still think is important. Our business was very TV focused, digital didn't exist. Now you have to know both. And the only thing that I will recommend is that you need to know all of the landscape. Focusing just on digital, I don't think is smart, and focusing just on television is not smart. And now in our company, even at agencies, they are now doing both. Okay, they can't do one or the other, and digital, I remember talking to digital buyers, and digital didn't want to learn television because they thought TV was dying. TV's not dying. Print didn't die. It's just all going through a huge transformation. But they're all going to be here, and you have to know the complete landscape in order to get into this business now, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. So my recommendation is know all the mediums, not just one. Don't focus on them all. Not sure if you want to start at a media company or an ad agency, but they're both going through a huge transformation. I started on the agency side because I thought from an agency perspective I could always get into sales. But know that there's not one route. I always tell a lot of the people that I interview that you kind of have to zig and zag. Because if you keep your goal in mind and one viewpoint, you're going to miss a lot that's going on. Because so much is changing that you kind of have to keep changing a little bit of what you think may happen, because if you're too myopic, you're going to lose an opportunity.